The woman wearing my anniversary dress is crying in my kitchen, and I can't stop smiling. It's a terrible smile. The kind that doesn't reach your eyes because your eyes are too busy watching everything you built turn to ash. The kind that hurts your face because you've forgotten how to feel anything except the cold, brilliant satisfaction of watching a carefully constructed plan obliterate the two people who destroyed you. Her name is Serena. She's 28, beautiful, and currently sobbing into her phone while my ex-husband, in approximately 6 hours, when the divorce papers finalize, screams at someone about stock prices and collapsed mergers and criminal investigations. She doesn't understand what's happening yet. Not really, but she's starting to. This can't be legal, she keeps saying, mascara streaming down her perfect face. People can't just destroy a company because they're angry. There are laws, regulations. Julian says a lot of things. I interrupt quietly. He said he loved me. He said we were partners. He said the company was ours, built on our shared vision. I take a sip of coffee. I'm still holding my coffee, isn't that insane? And watch her fall apart. He was lying about all of it. So forgive me if I don't particularly care what Julian said about laws and regulations. My phone won't stop buzzing. 53 missed calls in the last hour. Reporters, investors, lawyers, the SEC probably. Let them wait. Let them all wait. I've waited 8 months. 8 months of smiling through board meetings where this woman sat in chairs that should have been mine. 8 months of watching her wear clothes my husband bought with money I earned. 8 months of pretending I didn't notice when she started redecorating the house I designed, erasing me like I was a bad coat of paint. 8 months of planning this exact moment. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You don't understand yet. You don't understand what they took from me, or what I took back, or why Serena's tears taste sweeter than any victory I've ever known. So, let me start at the beginning. Let me tell you about the night I realized my marriage was over and my revenge was just beginning. Let me tell you about the woman I used to be and the woman they forced me to become. Hey, beautiful souls. If you're here, you're about to go on a journey that will shatter you and rebuild you in the same breath. This isn't just a story about revenge. It's about what happens when a woman who gave everything finally takes it all back. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and more importantly, tell me, have you ever loved someone who made you invisible? Because that's where this story lives, in the space between love and erasure, between building something beautiful and watching someone else claim it as their own. If you haven't subscribed, I need you to do that right now because this story has layers you cannot imagine. Every part reveals something new, something devastating, something that will make you want to stand up and scream. Subscribe because you deserve to see how this ends. Or maybe how it begins. Because what Serena doesn't know yet, what Julian is just starting to understand, is that the real story isn't about what I destroyed today. It's about what they destroyed in me 8 months ago, and everything I became because of it.
Now,
Let me take you back. 8 months before I burned Julian's empire to the ground, I was still trying to save our marriage. Pathetic, right? But that's what love does. It makes you pathetic. It makes you ignore the signs that are so obvious in retrospect you want to reach back in time and shake yourself until you wake up. The signs like Julian working late 4 nights a week. Julian suddenly caring about his appearance again, buying new cologne, new suits. Julian's phone face down on every surface, buzzing with texts he'd step away to answer. Classic affair indicators. Textbook. But I didn't want to see them, because seeing them meant admitting that the man I'd Spent 15 years building a life with, 10 years building a company with, was choosing someone else. It was our wedding anniversary. 15 years. I'd planned dinner at the restaurant where he proposed, Lumiere, the French place with the private garden terrace. I'd bought a new dress. Red. His favorite color on me. Or it used to be his favorite. I was starting to realize I didn't actually know what Julian liked anymore. He canceled 4 hours before the reservation. Baby, I'm so sorry. His voice on the phone was distracted, distant. I could hear other voices in the background. A woman laughing. The Helix deal is getting complicated. I need to stay at the office, work through some projections with the team. It's our anniversary, Julian. I know, and I'm the worst. We'll celebrate this weekend, I promise. Somewhere amazing. Anywhere you want. He'd made the same promise for my birthday, and Valentine's Day, and the charity gala where I was supposed to receive an innovation award, but he'd convinced me to let him accept it instead because the optics would be better for the company. I'd said yes because I believed we were a team, because I thought his success was our success. I was so stupid. I went to Lumiere anyway, sat at our table alone, drinking wine that cost more than most people's monthly rent, trying not to cry while the pitying waiter pretended not to notice. That's when I saw them, Julian and Serena, 3 tables away, hidden in a corner booth, holding hands across the table like teenagers in love. She was wearing red, the same shade as my dress, actually. Later, I'd wonder if he'd told her it was his favorite color. If he'd used the same lines on her that he'd used on me 15 years ago. I should have confronted them. Should have marched over and made a scene, thrown wine, screamed, done something dramatic and satisfying. Instead, I sat frozen, watching my husband kiss another woman on our anniversary while I wore a dress he'd never see. And something inside me didn't break. It crystallized, hardened into something cold and clear and absolutely focused. I'd spent 15 years making Julian Cross successful, building his company from a garage startup to a tech empire worth billions, writing the code he took credit for, designing the innovations that made him famous, standing behind him at every press conference, every award ceremony, every moment of glory, while he soaked up praise for my work. I'd made him a king, and he'd forgotten that queens can unmake kings just as easily. So, I finished my wine, left a generous tip for the pitying waiter, and went home to start planning the most beautiful destruction anyone had ever seen. I didn't confront Julian that night, or the next day, or the next week. I played the perfect, oblivious wife, smiled when he came home late smelling like her perfume, pretended to believe his excuses, acted like I didn't notice when board meeting agendas started including Serena's name in roles that should have been mine. Because I was busy documenting everything, busy meeting with lawyers and accountants and forensic analysts, busy understanding the exact architecture of Julian's empire, so I'd know precisely where to strike to bring it all down. And I was busy realizing something that changed everything. Serena wasn't just sleeping with my husband. She was actively trying to replace me. It started small. Her asking to attend meetings I usually handled. Julian suggesting she take over my charitable foundation work to free up my time for other things. Her name appearing on press releases as strategic consultant for projects I designed. Then it got bigger. 6 months after I saw them at Lumiere, Julian came home with documents for me to sign. Just restructuring some company ownership, he said casually. Tax purposes. The lawyers recommend it. The documents would have transferred 40% of my Ether Corp shares into a joint trust controlled by Julian. It was buried in legal language, but I saw it immediately. He was trying to take my company's shares, while making it look legitimate, so he could give them to her. I smiled. Signed papers my own lawyers had prepared that looked identical, but were completely different, and started counting down to the day I'd burn it all down. That day came last week when I received the invitation. A party at my house, the house Serena now lived in with Julian, to celebrate the Helix merger. The invitation was in Serena's handwriting. She'd chosen the menu I would have chosen, hired the caterers I always used, was literally stepping into my life like I'd never existed. The invitation included a personal note. "Elara, I know this is difficult, but I hope we can be friends. Julian, and I would love for you to be part of this new chapter." I laughed until I cried. Then I cried until I was empty. Then I picked up the phone and called Marcus, my broker. "I need you to sell something," I told him. "Everything I own in Ether Corporation. Every single share. Timed for maximum damage." "Elara, think about what I've thought about nothing else for 8 months. I built that company from nothing. I know exactly how to destroy it, and I know exactly when to strike so it hurts the most." I took a deep breath. Julian's merger announcement is Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. I want my shares hitting the market the same minute he starts talking. Not before. Not after. Precisely then. That will trigger a panic sell-off. The merger will collapse. Julian's net worth will. I know what will happen, Marcus. I designed it that way. So he did it. And the market responded exactly as I'd planned. And now I'm standing in my former kitchen watching Serena fall apart while Julian's empire collapses in real time. And you know what the worst part is? The part that makes me hate myself even while I'm smiling? Part of me still loves him. Part of me is screaming that I'm destroying everything we built, that I'm burning 15 years of my life along with his fortune, that revenge won't heal the hole in my chest where my marriage used to be. But the louder part, the part that's been silent too long, whispers that I didn't destroy anything. They did. I just made sure everyone else could see the ruins too. Listen, if your heart is racing right now, if you need to know what happens next, then smash that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning. Drop a like if you've ever been made invisible by someone you loved. And comment. Tell me, am I the villain here or the hero? Because I genuinely don't know anymore, and I need you with me on this journey to figure it out. Julian finds me in the garden 20 minutes later. Not the garden anymore, I remind myself. Serena had it torn out last month. My Japanese maples and meditation pond replaced with a pretentious infinity pool that probably cost more than our first office space. Everything I touched, she erased. Like she could rewrite history by changing the scenery. Elara. His voice is raw, desperate in a way I haven't heard in years. What the fuck did you just do? I turned to face my husband. Ex-husband in 5 hours and 17 minutes, but who's counting? He looks terrible. His tailored suit is wrinkled, his usually perfect hair disheveled from running his hands through it repeatedly. There's panic in his eyes, real, genuine panic, and God help me, part of me wants to comfort him. 15 years of loving someone doesn't evaporate just because they betrayed you. It sits there in your chest like a shard of glass, cutting you every time you breathe. I sold my shares in the company we built together, I say calmly. The company you were trying to steal from me to give to your mistress. What part confuses you? You destroyed us. Ether Corp stock is down 42%. The Helix merger is dead. Do you have any idea what you've done? I have a very precise idea, actually. I did the math. Would you like to see my spreadsheets? I made several. I pull out my phone, swipe through documents I've been perfecting for months. Here's the projected market impact. Here's the timeline for asset liquidation. Here's the forensic analysis of which properties will foreclose first. This house is number 3, by the way. You have about 6 weeks before the bank takes it. Julian stares at me like I'm a stranger. You planned this. For how long? 8 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days. Since our anniversary. Since I saw you kissing her at Lumiere while I sat alone at the table where you proposed. Something flickers in his expression. Guilt, maybe, or the memory of a man who used to love me before success made him cruel. Alara, I don't. My voice cracks despite my best efforts. Don't you dare apologize now. Don't you dare pretend you feel remorse when you've spent 8 months parading her around like I don't exist. Do you know what that feels like, Julian? Watching someone systematically erase you from your own life. I never meant to. You never meant to what? Fall in love with someone else? Fine. That happens. Hearts change. But you didn't just stop loving me, Julian. You tried to steal my legacy. My company. The work I bled for while you took credit at every press conference and board meeting. I step closer, and he actually backs up. Good. Let him be afraid. Let him understand what he's facing. Do you want to know a secret? About Ether Corp? About every single innovation that made us billions. Alara, I wrote the original code for Synapse AI. Remember that? The breakthrough that put us on the map? You presented it at TechCrunch, told everyone it was your vision, your genius. I was in the audience, 7 months pregnant with a baby we lost 2 weeks later because I was working 100-hour weeks bringing your vision to life. Julian's face goes pale. We never talk about the miscarriage. It's the ghost that haunts our marriage, the child I wanted desperately and he kept putting off because the timing wasn't right and the company needed us focused. I lost that baby at my desk, coding the future while my own future bled out of me. The Neuralink interface? Mine. The quantum encryption protocol? Mine. The entire fucking architecture of cloud mesh that made you Tech Innovator of the Year. I laugh bitterly. I built that in our garage while you golfed with investors. But you took the trophy, gave the TED Talk, got your face on magazine covers while I stood in the background smiling like a good corporate wife. You never said, you never told me you felt. Because I loved you. The words explode out of me. 15 years of silence shattering. Because I believed we were a team. Because every time you said we built this together, I thought you meant it. I didn't need credit or glory, Julian. I just needed you to remember that I existed, that I mattered, that I was more than the invisible genius making your dreams possible. Tears are streaming down my face now, and I hate it. Hate that he still has the power to make me cry. Hate that destroying him doesn't fill the hole he left in my chest. When did I become invisible to you? I whisper. What year? What month? What exact moment did you look at me and stop seeing the woman who built an empire with you and start seeing an obstacle to your next conquest? That's not, Alara. You were never invisible. Serena is sitting on the board in my seat, attending galas in my dresses, running my charitable foundation, living in my house. She took everything, Julian, and you let her. You helped her. So don't you dare tell me I wasn't invisible when you literally let another woman wear my life. Behind us, I hear Serena on the phone, still crying, still not understanding. She doesn't know what I know, that Julian doesn't love her any more than he loved me at the end. She's just newer, shinier. The upgrade he thinks will make him feel young and powerful and relevant. In 5 years, maybe less, he'll do to her what he did to me. Find someone younger, more accomplished, more willing to disappear into a shadow. That's what Julian does. He consumes people and calls it love. I gave you everything. I continue, my voice steadier now. My 20s building code in that garage. My 30s managing investors and board politics while you played visionary. I gave you the best years of my life, Julian. I gave you my ideas, my work, my fucking soul. And you repaid me by trying to give it all to someone else. The share transfer was it was tax optimization, the lawyers said. The lawyers you hired to find a legal way to steal my company. I read the real documents, Julian. The ones you didn't think I'd understand because you've spent so long underestimating me. I pull out another file on my phone. You were going to transfer 40% of my shares to a trust you controlled. Then gradually shift decision-making power to Serena. Phase me out of the company I co-founded while making it look like voluntary retirement. His silence confirms everything. When were you going to tell me? I ask quietly. Before or after you'd erased me completely? Ilara, the company needed fresh perspective. The company needed you to stop fucking subordinates and focus on actual innovation instead of PR. I close my eyes, exhausted suddenly. But that's over now. Because there is no company. Not the way it was. Ether Corp will survive. The board will recover, restructure, probably force you out as CEO within a month. But the empire you built on my back? The billion-dollar valuation that made you a tech god? That's gone. I made sure of it. You destroyed yourself too. Those shares were worth $947 million at yesterday's closing price. I know. I sold them for $812 million in the panic dump. I lost $135 million in a single morning. I smile through tears. Best money I ever spent. Julian sinks onto a bench, one of the few pieces of my original garden furniture Serena hadn't replaced yet. He puts his head in his hands, and for a moment, he looks like the boy I fell in love with 20 years ago. Before the money, before the fame, before ambition turned him into someone I didn't recognize. We were supposed to change the world together, he says quietly. That was the dream. Remember? 2 kids with a garage and a vision. I remember. But somewhere along the way, you decided to change it alone. With me as your invisible support system. I kneel in front of him, force him to look at me. I would have forgiven the affair, Julian. If you'd come to me, been honest, told me you'd fallen for someone else, I would have been devastated, but I would have let you go with grace. We could have split the company fairly, stayed friends, maybe even stayed business partners. Then why? Because you tried to erase me. Serena wasn't enough. You needed to take my work, my legacy, my place in the company I built. That's what I can't forgive. Not the affair. The erasure. I stand, brush off my dress, the red one he never got to see, the one I wore to our anniversary dinner alone. The divorce papers finalize in 5 hours. I'm taking my settlement, which is considerable, given my contributions to Ether Corp's intellectual property. I'm not asking for the houses or the cars or any of the lifestyle shit. Just what I earned. What I built. Where will you go? Does it matter? You stopped caring about where I was 8 months ago. I start walking toward the door, toward the car that will take me away from this house, this man, this life I poured everything into. Oh, and Julian? One more thing. He looks up, hope flickering pathetically in his eyes. Hope that I'll take it back, fix it, save him the way I've saved him from every crisis for 15 years. The patents for Synapse AI, Neuralink, and Cloud Mesh? I registered them under my name before you convinced me to file everything through the company. My lawyers are currently filing documentation proving I'm the primary inventor. Ether Corp has licensing agreements, but I own the core IP. I smile. So even if you rebuild, you'll be building on technology one control. You'll be paying me royalties on every product, every innovation, every dollar you make from my work. You can't. I can. I did. Check your email. The legal notifications went out 20 minutes ago, right around when you realized I destroyed your empire. I leave him sitting there, broken and small, in the garden that isn't mine anymore, but isn't really his either. Just another piece of property the bank will repossess when his credit collapses. Serena is in the foyer, off the phone finally, her face blotchy from crying. This is illegal, she says, her voice shaking. We'll sue you. You'll do nothing. Because everything I did was legal, strategic, and perfectly timed. I'm a 72% shareholder selling my shares on the open market. That's capitalism, sweetheart. I pause at the door. Enjoy the house while it lasts. The pool looks lovely. Terrible feng shui, but lovely. You're a monster, she whispers. I think about that. About whether destroying the man who destroyed me makes me monstrous. About whether revenge is justice or just pain redistributed. Maybe, I say finally, but I'm a monster he created. He should have been more careful with his experiments. I walk out of my former life into blinding sunshine, and for the first time in 8 months, I can breathe. The empire is burning. My marriage is ash. Everything I built with Julian is collapsing. And I've never felt more free. If this story is gripping your heart, drop a comment telling me what you would have done differently. The SEC summons arrives 48 hours after I destroy Julian's empire, hand-delivered by a grim-faced agent who doesn't care that I'm still in my pajamas at 2 p.m. Ms. Alara Cross, you're being formally notified of an investigation into potential securities fraud, market manipulation, and insider trading related to your sale of Ether Corp stock on Tuesday, May 14th. I take the envelope with steady hands, even though my heart is trying to escape through my throat. I sold stock I legally owned. That's not a crime.
Timing matters, Mom.
You dumped 72% of company shares minutes before a major merger announcement you had insider knowledge of, causing catastrophic market impact. That raises questions. His expression is professionally neutral. You'll need to provide all communications, financial records, and documentation related to the sale. A subpoena for your testimony will follow. He leaves, and I sink onto my couch in the temporary apartment I'm renting while the divorce finalizes. My phone buzzes immediately. Rebecca, my attorney. Tell me you didn't talk to them without me present. I took the envelope. Didn't say anything incriminating. My hands shake as I open the official documents. Rebecca, can they actually charge me? Everything I did was legal. Legal and ethical aren't always the same thing in the SEC's eyes. You had insider knowledge of the merger, Alara. You knew the exact moment to sell for maximum damage. They're going to argue you manipulated the market. I manipulated my own holdings, which controlled 72% of a publicly traded company. The fallout affected thousands of investors, pension funds, retirement accounts. People lost money because of your sale. Rebecca's voice gentles. I'm not saying you were wrong morally, but legally, we're in complicated territory. I close my eyes, feeling the walls close in. I'd been so focused on destroying Julian that I hadn't fully considered the collateral damage. The innocent shareholders. The employees whose stock options just became worthless. The regular people caught in the crossfire of my war. There's more, Rebecca continues. Julian's lawyers filed a civil suit this morning. They're alleging you committed fraud by signing documents under false pretenses, that you secretly planned to tank the company while pretending to support the merger, and that you owe him damages for, get this, intentional infliction of emotional distress. I laugh, but it sounds hollow. He's suing me for emotional distress? After what he did? He's fighting back. And Alara, he's not fighting clean. The media narrative is shifting. You're no longer the wronged wife. You're the vindictive ex who destroyed thousands of jobs and billions in shareholder value out of spite. My phone buzzes with news alerts. I pull them up, feeling sick. Tech Titan's scorned wife costs investors $3 billion in revenge stock dump. Alara Cross, brilliant innovator or market manipulator. Sources say Cross planned elaborate scheme to destroy ex-husband's company. The comments are brutal. Half call me a hero, half call me a monster. But the trend is shifting toward monster, especially as stories emerge about Ether Corp employees facing layoffs, about retirement funds taking massive hits, about the ripple effects through the tech sector. I wanted to hurt Julian. I wanted him to feel what I felt, powerless, erased, destroyed. I didn't want to hurt everyone else. My phone rings. Unknown number. I answer anyway, too drained to care. Alara Cross? A woman's voice, familiar somehow. Who is this? Someone who knows exactly what you're going through. Someone Julian destroyed before you. And someone who can help you fight what's coming, if you're willing to listen. My breath catches. Who are you? My name is Dr. Melissa Reeves. I was Julian's business partner before you. The one who helped him build the original prototype for Synapse AI. She pauses. The one he erased from company history and bought out for pennies before taking the technology public. Sound familiar? I sink back against the couch, my mind racing. I'd heard whispers of an original partner, but Julian always dismissed it as an early advisor who'd left before the real work began. Why are you calling me now? Because Julian's suing you using the same legal strategy he used on me, claiming you acted in bad faith, committed fraud, owe him damages. It didn't work then, because I had evidence. Documentation he thought I destroyed. Her voice hardens. Evidence that proves Julian Cross has a pattern of stealing from his partners, erasing their contributions, and destroying them when they become inconvenient. Evidence that could save you from the SEC investigation and his lawsuit. What do you want in exchange? I want what you want, to burn Julian's legacy to the ground. But this time completely. No rebuilding, no redemption arc, no comeback story. I want the world to know exactly who he is and what he's done to every woman who made him successful. She lets that sink in. I tried to expose him 7 years ago. I failed because I was alone, and he had all the power.
But you?
You just proved you're willing to sacrifice everything to take him down. Together, we could finish what you started. I should hang up. Should be suspicious of a mysterious woman offering convenient evidence exactly when I need it. But I'm also facing federal investigation, a massive civil suit, and public opinion turning against me while Julian plays the victim. What kind of evidence? I ask carefully. Documents showing Julian systematically stole IP from 3 different partners, including me. Communications proving he planned to force you out of ether court months before the affair started. Serena was just the vehicle, not the cause. And financial records showing he's been hiding assets offshore, which means his devastated financial state is partially manufactured to make you look more destructive.
My heart pounds.
If that's true, if I can prove Julian was planning to erase me regardless of Serena, that the affair was just convenient timing, it changes everything. I'm not the vindictive ex-wife. I'm the latest victim of a serial predator who destroys his partners. How do I know you're telling the truth? That this isn't some trap Julian set up? You don't. But you have 48 hours before your SEC deposition. And you're smart enough to verify everything I give you before using it. She rattles off an address. Meet me tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.
Come alone.
Bring your lawyer if you want, but no one else can know about this until we're ready to strike. She hangs up before I can respond. I sit there holding my phone, weighing options. This could be salvation or destruction. Evidence that clears me or a trap that buries me deeper. Rebecca calls back. Alara, there's one more thing. Serena's pregnant. She's claiming the stress of your attack put her pregnancy at risk, and she's threatening to file her own suit for. I hang up. I can't process anymore. Can't handle another complication. But as I sit in my temporary apartment, facing federal investigation and lawsuits and public vilification, I realize something important. I thought destroying Julian's empire was the end of the war. It was just the opening salvo. And if I'm going to survive what comes next, I need allies. I need evidence. I need to stop fighting defensively and start fighting to win. Tomorrow morning, I'll meet Melissa Reeves. I'll verify her evidence. And if it's real, if Julian really has a pattern of destroying women who build his empire, then I won't just defend myself. I'll make sure the whole world knows what he is. The empire I burned was just Julian's fortune. Now I'm coming for his legacy. And this time, I won't stop until there's nothing left but truth. Melissa Reeves meets me in a coffee shop that's deliberately public. Cameras everywhere, witnesses, safety. She's nothing like I expected. Mid-40s, elegant in a way that speaks of old money, with sharp eyes that assess me like I'm a code she's debugging. She slides a flash drive across the table before I even sit down. Everything's on here. Verify it before you trust me. I pocket the drive. Why wait 7 years? If you had evidence against Julian, why not use it? I tried. He buried me in legal fees, NDAs, countersuits. I was younger, less connected, and he had already built enough power to make me look like a disgruntled ex-partner. She sips her coffee. But you're different. You just nuked his empire on live television. You're not afraid of him anymore. I'm terrified of him. I'm just more angry than scared. She smiles.
Good.
Fear without anger makes you a victim. Anger without fear makes you reckless. You need both. My phone buzzes. Rebecca, SEC moved your deposition up to tomorrow. They're aggressive. Be careful. I show Melissa the text. They're coming after me hard. Julian must be pushing them. Of course he is. He's trying to make you the villain before you can expose him as the real criminal. Classic Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. She leans forward. But here's what Julian doesn't know. I've been tracking his pattern for years. You're the 4th woman he's done this to. Each time, same playbook. Identify talented partner, use their work to build empire, phase them out when convenient, destroy them if they fight back. 4 women. My stomach turns. Me, you, and two others who took settlements with brutal NDAs. But one of them is willing to break hers if we can guarantee protection from Julian's retaliation. Her name is Dr. Sarah Chen. She helped develop the quantum encryption protocol Julian claims he invented. The protocol I thought I'd invented. The one Julian told me he'd refined my early work on. He stole from both of us. He steals from everyone. That's his genius, identifying brilliant people, extracting everything useful, then erasing them from the story. You are just the most valuable extraction yet. My hands shake with rage. The SEC investigation is probably being influenced by Julian's connections. But if we can prove his pattern of fraud, IP theft, and systematic destruction of partners, suddenly your stock sale looks like justified asset protection from a known predator, not market manipulation. She pulls out documents, financial trails, communication records, a roadmap of Julian's fraud spanning a decade. Tomorrow, you give the SEC just enough to seem cooperative. Then we file our own complaint, a detailed, multi-victim report of Julian's systematic fraud. We flip the narrative before he can cement you as the villain. I look at the evidence, at this woman who survived what I'm surviving, and make my choice. Let's destroy him properly this time. Not just his empire, his entire legacy. Melissa's smile is sharp as a blade. Now you're thinking like a winner. But as I leave, tucking the flash drive into my purse, I don't notice the man in the corner photographing our entire meeting. Julian's private investigator, building his counterattack. The war just escalated, and I'm about to discover that Julian plays dirtier than I ever imagined. Drop a like if you're rooting for Alara to take Julian down completely. And subscribe right now because what happened next reveals secrets that will change everything you think you know about this story. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about exposing a predator who's destroyed multiple women. Be part of this community fighting for justice. Subscribe, like, and let's finish this together. The SEC deposition starts at 9 a.m., and by 9:45, my entire world has imploded. Miss Cross, can you explain these communications? The investigator, a severe woman named Agent Hartley, slides documents across the table. Email printouts, text messages, all from my account, all discussing the stock sale months before it happened. My blood goes cold. I never sent these. They're from your personal email server. Time-stamped beginning 8 months ago, the day after your anniversary. Hartley's expression is granite. They show you discussing strategic market timing and maximum impact scenarios with an outside consultant. You were planning the stock dump for 8 months, Ms. Cross. That's not a spontaneous reaction to personal betrayal. That's premeditated market manipulation. Rebecca grabs the documents, her face going pale as she reads. Alara, did you consult with anyone about the stock sale timeline?
No.
I talked to Marcus, my broker, but that was the day before the sale, not 8 months ago. I scan the emails, my hands shaking. They're sophisticated forgeries. My writing style, my email signature, even my tendency to use M-dashes. These are fake. Someone planted them. Your server security logs show no breach. These emails originated from your authenticated account. Hartley pulls out more documents. We also have financial records showing you moved significant assets into offshore accounts beginning 6 months ago. Systematic preparation for the stock sale. What offshore accounts? I don't have. Rebecca's phone buzzes. She glances at it, and her face goes absolutely white. We need a recess.
Now.
Miss Parrish, we're not. My client's rights are being violated. We need 15 minutes. Immediately. Hartley agrees reluctantly. Rebecca drags me into a private conference room, her hand shaking as she pulls up her phone. Melissa Reeves doesn't exist. The room tilts.
What?
I had my team run background on her after you told me about the meeting. There's no Dr. Melissa Reeves who worked with Julian. No partner from 7 years ago. No trace of her in any Ether Corp documentation. Rebecca's voice is tight with controlled panic. The woman you met yesterday is a complete fabrication. My mind races. The flash drive. The evidence. The coffee shop meeting that was photographed. It's a setup, I whisper. Julian created a fake victim to make me look like I'm conspiring with others to destroy him. The meeting yesterday, the flash drive. What flash drive? Alara, please tell me you didn't take anything from her. I pull it from my purse with shaking hands. Rebecca grabs it like it's a snake. Don't plug this into anything connected to the internet. It could be malware designed to plant more evidence on your devices. She bags it carefully. We need to assume everything about yesterday was theater designed to make you look guilty. My phone rings. Unknown number. I answer on speaker. Hello, Alara. It's Melissa's voice, but different now. Harder. I assume you've discovered I'm not who I claim to be. Who the fuck are you? Someone Julian hired 8 months ago to help build his case against you. Someone who's very good at creating fictional identities and planting digital evidence. She pauses. But here's the thing. I'm not calling to gloat. I'm calling to warn you. Warn me about what? Julian's not just trying to win in court. He's trying to destroy you so completely that you'll never recover. The offshore accounts are real, Alara. The emails are real. Because I've been accessing your systems for months, creating a paper trail that makes you look like a calculating criminal who planned this entire revenge. My stomach drops. That's illegal. Hacking, fraud, prove it. I'm a ghost. No legal identity, no trail back to Julian. And he'll deny ever hiring me. You'll look paranoid, making wild accusations about phantom hackers while the evidence against you is concrete and documented. Why are you telling me this? Because Julian didn't pay me enough to. Stay quiet about what else I found. Her voice changes, becomes almost sympathetic. When I was hacking your systems, I found something. Something you've been hiding for 15 years. Something Julian doesn't know about yet, but will use to completely destroy you the moment he discovers it. My blood freezes. There's only one thing she could mean. The baby. The pregnancy I terminated 3 months after we started Ether Corp because Julian said we couldn't afford the distraction, that we'd have children later, after we were successful. The choice that haunted me for 15 years, that I never told anyone about except the clinic. How did you? Medical records aren't as secure as you think. And I'm very thorough. She lets that sink in. Julian will use this, Alara. He'll paint you as a woman who chose career over motherhood, who terminated a pregnancy for business reasons, who's cold and calculating enough to destroy thousands of lives for revenge. Combined with the manufactured evidence of premeditated market manipulation, you'll be crucified. Rebecca is already typing frantically, probably alerting her team, calling in favors. What do you want? I ask, though I already know. Julian owes me $2 million. Final payment he's refusing to make now that he thinks the job's done. You pay me $3 million. I give you everything. The real evidence of Julian's fraud, documentation of what he hired me to do, and I disappear before I can testify against you. That's extortion. That's insurance. You pay me, or I make sure every piece of devastating evidence I planted gets into the SEC's hands, into the media, into Julian's legal team. Your choice. She hangs up. I sit in shocked silence, feeling walls close in from every direction. Julian didn't just plan a defense. He planned a total annihilation. The affair with Serena wasn't a weakness I exploited. It was bait in a trap he'd been building for months. We need to verify everything she said, Rebecca says, but her voice lacks conviction. The offshore accounts, the emails, they're real. She admitted to planting them, which means the SEC has concrete evidence of crimes I didn't commit but can't prove I didn't commit. I laugh bitterly. Julian's been planning this since before I even knew about Serena. He wanted me to destroy his empire, so he could destroy me. My phone buzzes again. A news alert. Serena Vaughn hospitalized. Stress from ex-wives. Harassment. Threatens pregnancy. There's a photo. Serena in a hospital bed, looking fragile and victimized. Julian beside her, the devoted partner protecting his pregnant fiancée from his vindictive ex-wife. Another alert. Sources. Alara Cross under federal investigation for securities fraud, market manipulation. The narrative is set. I'm the villain. The calculating ex-wife who planned for months to destroy an innocent man's company, who's now harassing his pregnant fiancée, who chose career over family 15 years ago, and is choosing revenge over morality now. And the evidence, manufactured but convincing, supports every word. Rebecca, can we fight this? My attorney looks at me with an expression I've never seen before. Doubt. I don't know. If even half of what she planted holds up to scrutiny, if the SEC believes the emails and offshore accounts are legitimate, Alara, you could face criminal charges. Serious ones. Prison time. I thought destroying Julian's empire was my victory. Thought I'd won by burning everything down. But he'd been 3 steps ahead the entire time, building a pyre for me while I thought I was building one for him. And now I'm standing in the flames, watching him hold the match. The federal indictment arrives on a Friday afternoon, hand-delivered like a death sentence. Securities fraud. Market manipulation.
Wire fraud.
Conspiracy to defraud investors. Maximum sentence. 20 years in federal prison. I read the charges in my apartment. Not even my apartment, just a temporary rental because I have no home anymore, and feel the last piece of myself break. Rebecca sits across from me, her usual confidence gone. They have emails, financial records, witness testimony from your broker about suspicious questions you asked months ago. Alara, this is bad. Julian planned this from the beginning. My voice sounds dead even to my own ears. The affair, Serena, all of it.
He wanted me to react.
Needed me to destroy the company, so he could destroy me. We can fight this. With what? Every piece of evidence is manufactured, but perfect. The hacker disappeared. Julian will deny everything. And my reputation is already destroyed. I pull up my phone, show her the social media storm. Death threats. Calls for my imprisonment. Articles calling me a sociopath who destroyed thousands of lives for personal revenge. The termination from 15 years ago, leaked this morning. Anonymous source. The headlines are brutal. Alara Cross chose career over motherhood. Now destroys families for revenge. The cruelty is breathtaking. The most painful, private decision of my life, weaponized to paint me as a monster. My parents saw that article. I whisper. My mother called crying. She didn't know about the pregnancy. Didn't know I'd been so broken by Julian's ambition that I can't finish. Rebecca's phone buzzes. She reads the message and closes her eyes. Julian's team just filed an emergency motion to freeze your remaining assets, claiming you're a flight risk. The settlement from the divorce, everything. They want it all locked down pending the criminal trial. I have $3 million in accessible funds. Not enough to pay the extortionist hacker and hire a defense team. Not enough to fight Julian's infinite resources.
I'm trapped.
There's one more thing, Rebecca says quietly. Sarah Chen, the woman the fake Melissa mentioned, she's real. She did work with Julian. And her lawyers just sent a cease and desist warning us not to contact her. Julian got to her first. Probably threatened her NDA into silence. Every ally gone. Every escape route blocked. Every piece of evidence against me. I did exactly what Julian wanted. Destroyed his empire in a spectacular, public way that made me look like a vindictive monster while he rebuilt himself as the victim. I'm going to prison, I say. Aren't I? Rebecca doesn't answer, which is answer enough. Outside my window, the city glitters with Friday nightlife. People living, loving, free. I built an empire with my bare hands. I changed the world with my code. I had everything: success, love, a future. And Julian took it all. Not just my company or my marriage. He took my freedom, my reputation, my truth. And he did it by making me destroy myself. I thought I was the architect of his downfall. But I was just the demolition crew for my own. The darkest hour isn't when you lose. It's when you realize you never had a chance to win. I'm packing what little I own, preparing to flee to a country without extradition treaties, when someone pounds on my door at 2 a.m.
Not someone.
Julian. He's drunk, disheveled, and his carefully constructed mask is finally cracking. You are supposed to disappear quietly, he slurs, pushing past me into the apartment. Take the settlement. Fade away, let me win. Why couldn't you just disappear like the others? Get out, or I'm calling the police. Call them. I own half the department through campaign donations. He laughs bitterly, pacing like a caged animal. Do you know what you cost me? The company's down 70%. The board forced me out. Serena left when the money dried up, took off to Patrick Keaton the second my accounts froze. She was playing both of us, and I was too blind to see it. Despite everything, I feel a flicker of something like pity. Julian, why are you here? Because I need you to confess. Plead guilty to the SEC charges. Make this go away, let me rebuild. He turns to me, and his eyes are desperate. I'll drop the civil suit. I'll make sure you only serve minimum time. Just admit you did it, take the blame, and this can all be over. You framed me, hired a hacker to plant evidence, manufactured everything. Can you prove that? He steps closer, and I smell expensive scotch and desperation.
No.
Because I'm smarter than you, Ilara. I always have been. You write pretty code, but I understand people. I understand power. And I built a trap so perfect even you couldn't see it. Something in his arrogance, his absolute certainty, triggers a memory. Julian's fatal flaw has always been the same. He can't resist bragging when he thinks he's won. You're right, I say carefully, pulling out my phone like I'm checking messages. You're brilliant. The fake Melissa, the planted emails, timing it all so I'd destroy myself. It's genius. How did you even think of it? He preens, drunk enough to be honest. Started planning the day you filed for divorce. I knew you'd fight, so I gave you a war you couldn't win. The hacker cost me $5 million, but watching you destroy yourself? Priceless. My phone is recording every word. And the offshore accounts? The fabricated evidence. Easy when you know someone's passwords. You never changed them after the separation, Alara. Same security protocols, same predictable patterns. He's fully bragging now, too drunk to care. I had 8 months of access to your systems. Created the perfect paper trail of premeditated fraud. You never stood a chance. I stopped the recording, save it to 3 different cloud servers. You should go, Julian. Before you say something you regret. I regret nothing. You're finished. I win. He stumbles toward the door, then turns back. You know what the saddest part is? I actually loved you once. Before you became competition instead of a partner. Before I realized you were more talented than me and always would be. The confession hangs in the air between us. Goodbye, Julian. After he leaves, I send the recording to Rebecca with shaking hands. Her response is immediate. This changes everything. This is a confession. We can fight this. For the first time in weeks, I feel something other than despair.
Hope.
Julian's arrogance just gave me the weapon I needed. And tomorrow, I'm going to use it to burn down every lie he's built. The war isn't over. It's just beginning. The emergency hearing happens 72 hours after Julian's drunken confession, and this time, I'm not the one being investigated. Rebecca plays the recording for the federal prosecutor, the SEC investigators, and Julian's own attorneys. His voice fills the conference room, slurred but crystal clear. I had 8 months of access to your systems. Created the perfect paper trail of premeditated fraud. Julian's lead attorney goes pale. Your Honor, this recording was obtained without consent. In a one-party consent state, Rebecca interrupts smoothly. Perfectly legal. And it's a full confession to hacking, evidence tampering, fraud, and conspiracy. Everything Ms. Cross has been charged with, Mr. Cross just admitted to orchestrating. The prosecutor leans forward. Mr. Cross, did you hire someone to plant evidence on Ms. Cross's servers? Julian's face is ashen. His new attorney, the third one this week, whispers urgently in his ear. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right. Too late for that, the prosecutor says. We've already traced payments from your offshore accounts to a known hacker named Catherine Voss. $5 million over 8 months. She's been arrested in Prague and is cooperating with authorities in exchange for reduced charges. Catherine Voss, the fake Melissa Reeves. She'd been playing both sides, and when Julian refused to pay her final fee, she turned on him completely. Ms. Voss provided complete documentation of Mr. Cross's instructions. The prosecutor continues. Emails, payment records, the malware she installed on Ms. Cross's systems. All of it. Additionally, we've located the real Dr. Sarah Chin, who's agreed to testify about Mr. Cross's pattern of IP theft and partner elimination spanning 15 years. I watched Julian crumble. Watched the man who orchestrated my destruction realize his own trap has closed around him. The charges against Ms. Cross are dropped effective immediately, the prosecutor announces. We're filing new charges against Julian Cross for securities fraud, evidence tampering, wire fraud, hacking, and conspiracy. Mr. Cross, you're under arrest. Federal agents move forward with handcuffs. Julian looks at me across the table, and for one moment, I see the boy I fell in love with 20 years ago. Broken.
Lost.
Destroyed by his own ambition. I'm sorry, he whispers as they cuff him. I'm so sorry, Alara. I should feel triumphant, victorious, but I just feel tired. I'm sorry, too. Sorry, I loved someone who could do this. They lead him away, and Rebecca squeezes my hand. It's over. You're free. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm, but this time the questions are different. Miss Cross, how does it feel to be vindicated? Will you sue Mr. Cross for damages? Are you rebuilding Ether Corp? I stand at the microphone, cameras flashing, and speak my truth for the first time in months. Julian Cross didn't just steal my work. He stole from every woman who helped build his empire. He systematically erased our contributions, then destroyed us when we fought back. Today, that pattern ends. I'm establishing a foundation to support women in tech who've been exploited by powerful partners, and I'm using every dollar of my settlement to make sure no one else suffers what I did. The crowd erupts with questions, but I'm done answering to them. I walk away from the courthouse, from Julian's legacy, from the empire we built on lies. And for the first time in 15 years, I walk toward a future that's completely, beautifully mine. Hashtag part 9. Satisfying conclusion. 2 years after I burned Julian's empire to the ground, I'm standing in my new office overlooking Silicon Valley, watching the sun set over the city that once tried to erase me. Julian is serving 8 years in federal prison for fraud, evidence tampering, and conspiracy. Ether Corp was liquidated, its assets distributed to the investors he defrauded. Serena married Patrick Keaton. They deserve each other. And the 3 women Julian systematically destroyed before me? We're business partners now. The Phoenix Collective. That's what we named our venture capital firm, specializing in funding female-led tech startups and protecting innovators from predatory partners. Dr. Sarah Chen runs our IP protection division. Catherine Voss, the hacker who ultimately saved me, consults on cybersecurity after serving her reduced sentence. And me? I'm doing what I always did best, building empires. But this time, I'm building them for women who won't be erased. My phone rings. My mother. Ilara, I'm watching your TED Talk. You're magnificent. The talk went live this morning. 15 years of silence, broken. I told everything, the stolen innovations, the systematic erasure, the termination I was shamed for, the trap Julian built. 20 million views in 12 hours. The comments are split between people calling me brave and people calling me bitter. I don't care anymore. I told my truth. That's enough. Thanks, Mom. How's Dad? Proud. We both are. We're sorry we didn't see what Julian was doing to you. Nobody did. That was his genius, making the erasure invisible until I disappeared completely. After we hang up, I stand at the window, watching lights blink on across the valley. Somewhere out there, a woman is building something revolutionary while her partner takes credit. Somewhere, a brilliant innovator is being phased out of her own company. Somewhere, another Ilara is about to be erased. But now she has a place to go. Resources. Support. A network of women who survived and came back stronger. Julian took everything from me. My marriage, my company, nearly my freedom. But he couldn't take what mattered most. My ability to create, to build, to refuse erasure. I lost the empire we built together, but I gained something infinitely more valuable, myself. Uncompromised, unsilenced,
Free.
My assistant knocks. Miss Cross? Your 5 o'clock is here. 3 women from a startup in Austin. Their CTO is being forced out by her co-founder. I smile. Send them in. Let's make sure she doesn't lose what she built. This is my legacy now. Not code or companies or billion-dollar valuations. Women who refuse to disappear.
And Julian?
He's a cautionary tale in a prison cell, finally facing consequences for every woman he tried to destroy. I didn't just survive his trap. I turned it into a revolution. If you made it through Alara's entire journey, from invisible genius to destroyed wife to phoenix rising from the ashes, then you need to understand something. This story is real. Maybe not Alara specifically, but right now, there's a brilliant woman being erased by a powerful partner who takes credit for her work. There's a talented innovator being forced out of a company she built. There's someone who needs to know they're not alone. Hit that subscribe button immediately if you believe in stories about women who refuse to stay silent. When you subscribe to this channel, you're joining a movement of people who stand with survivors, who celebrate truth tellers, who understand that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is burn everything down to build something better. You'll get more stories like this, stories about justice, revenge, redemption, and women who win against impossible odds. Smash that like button if Alara's story moved you. If you've ever been made invisible by someone you loved. If you've ever had someone take credit for your work. If you've ever chosen yourself over the comfortable lie. Every like tells me you're out there, you're listening, and you refuse to be erased. Your like is a vote for survivors. A declaration that women's contributions matter. A middle finger to every Julian Cross in the world. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you have done differently? Would you have burned the empire down or walked away quietly? Have you ever had to choose between silence and destruction? This comment section is a safe space for your story.
Share it.
Own it. Let other people know they're not alone. Because here's the truth. When you subscribe, like, and comment, you're not just supporting a channel. You're telling every woman fighting her own battle. Your truth matters. Your work matters. You matter. Asterisk, asterisk, you're telling every person who's been erased, we see you. And you're telling every manipulator, every credit stealer, every person who thinks they can destroy someone without consequences, we're watching. And we won't stay silent. Alara won her war. Together, we can make sure others win theirs too.
Subscribe, like, comment, now.
Welcome to the revolution. Let's burn down every system that tries to erase us.